Hey there, it's April 30th, 2025. This is Gary Hudiburgh. I'm on the executive board of Millwright Local 548 in St. Paul, Minnesota. This is my message to my union brothers and sisters. This represents my point of view. It doesn't represent the North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters, doesn't represent 548. It's my personal opinion, Gary Hudiburgh. It comes from being in the industry for a while. It comes from being I've been working for a while. I'm 46 years old, and we think about over time, we look at it and we learn different things. And there's a couple of things that I'd like to share with you for you to consider as we go into this contract negotiation. I know that there's a meeting this evening, and I'd like to be able to share this information. I ask you to share this information with other union members so that we have some ideas on what we can do. These are my 548 contract thoughts. So from 2020 to 2025, corporate profits in the United States of America have gone from $1.8 trillion to $3.8 trillion. This increase is dramatic. I think this is a positive thing in a lot of ways. That data comes from the St. Louis Fed. This isn't me just going and looking at some nonsense on the website. This is from the actual the sources that have this information. But we look at that $3.8 trillion, that means that the companies, the stockholders, they're getting more money for the work and the productivity that we're generating as workers in this country. That's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. I like to be able to see companies be more successful. My question is why isn't more of that $3.8 trillion going into my pocket and going into the pockets of other workers? And this contract negotiation is an important part of making sure that this is fair and equitable and that we're able to see good success in these contract negotiations. Sort of background information, 70% of Americans approve of labor unions. That's from Gallup. That's information that's about a year old. But 70% of Americans across the board approve of labor unions. I'm going to guess with the current administration that is increased, that there's more Americans that are actually approving of labor unions. They have a positive opinion of labor unions. Part of what increases that number is that people saw how companies treated workers during COVID, and we saw some really terrible things and some unacceptable things. But that approval is a significant thing. That's something that we can be able to leverage when we think about these contract negotiations. Another data point is we had the UAW strike. That was a 6-week strike. The workers, which were classified as skilled, which would be the equivalent to what a millwright does, went from $36.96 an hour to $50.57 an hour. That's on the pay rate. That's just on the wage. We think about that increase. That's a very significant increase in pay, going from $36.96 an hour to $50.57 an hour. I know that the contractors are saying, oh, we can't afford it, oh, we can't this, oh, we can't that. I'm telling you, the contractors tell you all sorts of different things. And we end up going and we do the work and we're happy about it, and we want to be able to create successful relationships with the contractors. Part of being able to create a successful relationship is to think about that competitiveness. If a Ford worker, and these are Ford numbers, but if a Ford worker is getting $50.57 an hour and we're in the same auto plant and we're doing work and our pay rate's below that $50.57 an hour, we're not getting a very good deal. So think about what makes a good deal. What's going to attract the best workers? How are we going to be competitive with other workers out there? From 1970 to 2018, worker productivity has increased 252%. So we're more productive as workers. We're creating more profitability, but we want to be able to see our wages match that. Unfortunately, worker compensation is only up 115% in that same time period. So productivity skyrocketed, whereas wages have flatlined. We need to change that. This contract negotiation tonight is a good opportunity to be able to change that, for us to be able to create a change in that. January 3rd of this year, I was on a picket line. I was on a picket line in Park City, Utah. There were 204 ski patrollers who were very brave people who went on strike. They wanted to see better wages. So that 204 workers going on strike for less than 2 weeks cost Vail Resorts over $400 million in stock valuation. I think we're all familiar, we deal with enough mechanical processes. We think about the keystone concept, that you build an archway and there's a stone in the middle that's the keystone. Those ski patrollers were the keystone for that company to be successful, and the executives didn't realize it, and it cost them $400 million in stock valuation. Just the same way that Park City has a critical job, the ski patrollers have a critical job, so too do the Millwrights of Local 548. The over 600 members, the men and women that go out there and work every single day to be able to generate power, to make gasoline and diesel in our refineries, to be able to go into chemical manufacturers, to go into all these different facilities to make food, to make medical devices, to create all those general industry products, to make paper. The list goes on and on and on. The beet plants where we make sugar. Those workers of what we do, our financial impact on the economy as a whole is far more than $400 million. We think about the billions and billions of dollars that come from our work. And we think about the fact that if our wage increase, if our contract increase isn't commensurate to the level of work that we put in and the sacrifices we make, then it doesn't make sense and it's not going to be a fair contract. I think about the fact that over the last 49 days, I was down in San Antonio, Texas, and I was working 7/12s, working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. to help work on a power plant where we're doing some maintenance on a steam generation plant down there to be able to generate power. I happily do it. I love doing it. I love doing it when I'm well compensated. And we think about, for all of us, we want to see good compensation, we want to see successful compensation, and we want to see a fair contract. From what I'm hearing right now, it doesn't sound like we're at that point yet on the bargaining table. And so I ask each and every one of you to share this message, but also to really think about what the financial impact is of your work. Do people eat? Does the light switch work? Does the medical device work based upon the work that you do? Our goal for 548, just to put it out there, I want to see us have a competitive contract. I want to be able to see us to be in a position to attract the best workers, to be able to attract the best people. I want to see us be able to go to the welding schools and to go to the trade schools and all the different places, and even to be able to organize people in from ununionized workforces to be able to get the best contract. I want to see the best people coming in to be Millwrights in 548. We have a reputation across this country of being one of the best locals, and it comes from the fact that we can attract the best. We need a good competitive contract to be able to attract the best. I also want something that's fair. In my mind, I think about that $3.8 trillion. It's hard to think about what $3.8 trillion is. But in 2020, if it was only $1.8 trillion and now we're up to $3.8 trillion, it's a dramatic increase. It's a lot of workers working very hard to be able to make that happen. Let's see more of that money go into the pockets of workers. I also want to set a higher standard. Part of the reason why I moved into the upper Midwest is because you set a higher standard. It's a higher quality of life. We have to continue to be on that leading edge, to continue to be the people that set the standard for workers, for workplace safety, for training, for all of these wonderful things. We have so many people that work so hard to be able to make this union successful. I have to tell you, I think some of the contractors work very hard to be able to make it successful. And I'm tremendously grateful for them. I ask them to really think, to look at what your profitability, what your gross margins are from 2020 to 2025. If you've seen a dramatic increase, it's because of people like me going out there, working hard to be able to make things successful, getting trained, doing everything that we can do to be able to help make you successful. Let's work on a fair contract. For all the Millwrights that are watching this, listen tonight. Let's listen to what the people at the contract negotiations say. Just because somebody says they can't afford it doesn't mean they can't afford it. I worked in technology sales for a long time, and people plead poor for a long time. Keep in mind this $3.8 trillion. That corporate profitability, that's not me just pulling the numbers out. That's the St. Louis Fed. Okay, keep that $3.8 trillion in mind, and let's work to make sure that we get our part of it. And let's keep in mind all of these strikes where we have UAW Ford going from 36.96 to 50.57. We have Vail Resorts losing $400 million off of 204 people not going to work. We don't want to see companies go to that same problem. We don't want to see a company lose $400 million. They need to work effectively with us for a fair contract that's successful for everybody. Y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching. Remember to share this